Hello folks, I'm not in my garage today. I'm in my daughter's work shed. We're building some cabinet doors. It's kind of a long story, and I know I haven't made a video in a while, and this one is not car related. I apologize for that, but I will give you an update on that. I'll bring you right back and talk a little bit about that and then what I'm doing here in my daughter's shed. I'll bring you along for the ride. Okay, on the truck, just thought I'd let you know, we've made some decisions on what to do as far as the rebuild of the engine. Just needing some help to move things around in there so that I can get the engine pulled out and off to the side and start working on it. I'm not going to send the whole engine to the machine shop to have them do all the work that they had suggested. I just don't think that it needs it. I think it just needs a cleaning up, refresh the gaskets, rings, and bearings, and go for there. Hope for the best. I'll just pray everything works out good. I mean, I've done many of those small block motors in that same manner, and they've always worked out fine. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I am saving up a little money to buy all the parts. I priced it in several different places, and everywhere I've looked is either anywhere from 800 down to 500 or so for everything. But the one for $800 or maybe a little bit more, I don't remember now exactly how much it was, but that was all name brand parts, and I would actually rather go that route than some generic knockoff parts that I don't know anything about. So that's where I stand with that. What am I doing here? Well, if you recall, we were doing a cabinet project, reconditioning the kitchen for my daughter, and we had commissioned a cabinet builder who did the cabinets in my house to make just the cabinet doors, and that was back in February. As it turns out, evidently the fella, because of health problems, can't work like that anymore or something. I'm not real sure. First it was he couldn't get the wood, and then next thing you know, he just can't get the job done. So I decided to Google it and see if I could build cabinet doors myself, and that's what I'm doing. You see the stack of cabinet door frames I've put together. My wife and I came out the other day and glued them all up, and I'll show you a little bit about what I've done, and also review a little bit on two different tools that we use that I'd never used before. One is a Craig's Rip and Cut, I think is what it's called, and the other is the Harbor Freight. It's a kind of a Craig's knockoff, Harbor Freight pocket hole drill guide or something like that. Anyway, I'll show you those things I took some shots as I was doing that, but I didn't get to do much videotaping putting these. I didn't do any videotaping putting these together, but I will tell you a little bit of the ups and downs that we had, and some things that may or may not cause us a problem down the road. We'll have to see. But we're basically just, I forget what the cabinet door type is called, but it's basically a frame around the outside and then a board on the back side. And they're pretty simple doors, and they will eventually be drilled for the soft close type things that the hinges that go in that you don't see from the outside. So that'll work well. The cabinet doors that was originally on the cabinets, they were so close together that they would hit each other. You couldn't open the cabinet doors all the way, even this way, let alone that way. I mean, it was just they would just hit each other. So something had to be done to change all that, and that's what we're doing now. So I'll bring you right back, show you what I've done, what I did. I'll also put some video in of the ripping these panels here with that ripping saw from Craig's. That thing, I tell you what, it was something else. It worked really, really well. If you guys ever need to rip long strips similar to these, or maybe up to about this wide, excuse me, that needs to be perfectly straight, that's the tool to get. It really works well. And then the pocket hole jig also worked really well from Harbor Freight. It was a little challenging doing 1/2 inch. This is only 1/2 inch thick. It probably would work better. Yes, I'll say work better for real lumber rather than MDF. This is MDF plywood, and that we're using. We've screwed it and glued it together, and like I said, I'll show you close-up pictures of this and let you know a little bit about what's some of the drawbacks to using the MDF, and in the way that another YouTuber had recommended doing it. Like I say, I'll bring you back and show you that. So without further ado, I'll jump into that. And today, what I need to do is make the backing board that goes on here. We have, I think it's 5mm Luan that we're going to be cutting to these shapes, and then gluing those onto the backs of these. The back being here where these pocket hole screws are, to cover all that up. So I'll bring you right back. Okay, these are the doors, the frames for the doors, and one of the problems that I noticed, I don't know if I can find it again, but if I can, I'll put a mention of or a link to the other guy's video. It really worked well, I have to say. I did mess up, and initially we drilled all of them for pocket holes here. Should have all been drilled here, so I had to go back and redo that. That was my mistake. And he had suggested only using 1 screw, because 2 screws, if you put 2 screws in there, it would crack this piece here. Well, guess what? Every one of them still cracked, even with just 1. So, and I went just as gently as I could screwing those in. It didn't seem to matter. But the only other problem that I'm having, or that I have with these, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it here or not. Let me, maybe right there. There's a lip right there. There is no way to keep this thing from turning like this with only 1 screw. Now, when I put them together, I had a jig here that I'd made where I could get them, slide that back a little bit, get them in a corner to line up as closely as I could. Let's see, like that. And that one isn't very lined up at all, is it? There we go. Trying to get it as square as I could. I did it on this side, and I did it on this side. Now, this side here wasn't perfectly square, but we'll make do with it. But as you can see a big lip there. When you flip it over, it's not so pronounced up front. I don't know why that is. It's all the same thickness. But I figure we can just take the sander and lightly go over this and kind of take care of some of that. And after the door's all put together, this one here is almost perfectly flush. It just has a little bit right here on the corner. So each one of them are going to have to be sanded a little bit in order to make them look a little better. But like I say, what I'm doing today is, there's a big piece of Luan right there. There's two of them actually. I need to clear this bench off and start mapping that out to cut that piece to fit the backs of these doors, and then glue them up. And then we'll clamp them together with these clamps here, and wait for them to dry and see how they turn out. Now, when I did these the other day and I stacked them up, they were really, I mean, loose like this because the glue was still wet. Now that the glue is dry, they're very, very sturdy. That's not going to be an issue at all. I was a little worried about it the other day, but they do seem to have dried up nicely, and everything looks good. So I may, once I start gluing these things up, after I get them cut, I may bring you back and show you some of that. Okay, I've got the first piece of Luan laid out here. It's getting quite a few of them. There's 15 doors all together. It's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them all on one. So I'll have plenty with 2 sheets. Now the trick is cutting these things out without cutting into the this board here. I guess I'm going to have to elevate it some with some of the scrap lumber that I got laying around here. But here's that Craig's rip saw. It's all dirty, but that thing works even on this 30-year-old, if not older, Craftsman sawmill circular saw that I have. And to do this with the MDF, some people might ask what kind of blade to use. I don't know how many teeth that is, but it's a lot more teeth than a regular saw that you would use for framing and stuff like this. I bought that blade to do to cut the countertop that we put in her kitchen, and that worked really well. It worked really well for this MDF. You can't see any saw marks or anything. And now you may say, well, that might be a factory edge. Well, okay, then let's look at this way. Well, let's turn it around so you get some light. Very little do you notice it. So the higher teeth content really makes a big difference. So just so that you know. Okay, starting to glue these things up. I've got 2 of them glued. I'm going to need a whole heck of a lot more clamps, or this is going to take me a lot longer than I envisioned. Here's the next 2 I'm going to do. I already got started gluing there, and I thought, well, I'll video this. I'll go ahead, and you guys have probably seen it done before, but I'll go ahead and video it just in case. I'm going to take a straw. Neat tip the other guy gave too. Take a straw if you got some squeeze out that you don't want in this area here. Just kind of scoop it up with the straw. It takes care of it. Okay, I got all the doors glued up. You see the stack of them over here. There's 15 all total. I've sanded these two. They look pretty good. The problem that I'm having is the screw coming in, let's see, this way, left a bulge here in some areas, and in some areas when the glue dried, this board here was shifted one way or the other. So calming those portions down is part of the challenge. And then another part of the challenge is my terrible cutting of these backer boards with the skill saw. Some of them weren't exactly the right size, so I've been having to sand down the excess, which is turning out pretty good, and then kind of going around the edges to smooth those out with the sander. And what I'm using is a Craftsman double action sander. Probably should put that little dust catcher thing on there, but anyway, I'm about to start on this one and then work my way all the way through. Hopefully by the end of the day today, I'll have these all in primer. Okay, we're getting ready to put the primer on these things. I just spent a couple of hours probably sanding these things. With my lack of skill saw skills, a lot of the backboard here versus the frame, the backboard was larger than the frame, so all that had to be sanded down. I thought about trying to use a grinder or something like that, but I was too afraid of marring up the edges, so I just used the sander. Seemed to work okay. They look pretty good. So now I'm going to get into priming, and I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like with the primer on him. Okay, I know it's kind of dark up here and you can't really see, but I've just I primed these things yesterday and then this morning, or early this afternoon, and now I've put the coat of Rust-Oleum on the back of the doors. I got them lined up here. I'm using this little touch-up gun from Harbor Freight. It's working really good, but you have to fill it quite often. And then I got some over here. These are just the backs. And I'm letting that dry up a little bit. And then I'll flip them over and do the fronts. Okay, got them flipped around. Painted the front side. The Rust-Oleum paint job on the cabinets is done. Not responsible for flies that are flying around in this window for some reason. Anyway, and these over here, they weren't quite dry whenever I flipped them over, so I may have to do a little bit of touch up on the bottoms of all the cabinets, but I'm kind of pressed for time on this project, and it won't take long at all to touch up. So next we'll be letting these dry completely, and then drilling them for the hardware and the hinges, the soft close hinges on the back, and installing them. We'll be done. Okay, this is a couple days later. Let these cabinet doors dry. I'm now working on installing these hinges. I've drilled one hole, and I'm hoping and praying that Everything's good. It looks like it should be. These are soft closed ones. Should leave a 1/2 inch overlap, the door overlapping the face of the frame of the cabinet, and then pull them up closed. So I'm fixing to drill the second hole and put the screws in, and then I'll take it in and mount it up and make sure that this one fits fine before I continue on. The last thing I want to do is mess up all the cabinet doors. I'd much rather only mess up one. So I'll show you how this Craig's jig works for this, and we'll take it from there. Doesn't clean out very good. Even if you try to turn it, it just spins on itself. So you have to do a lot of fiddling with it to get it cleaned out. Same with the holes. Now, typically, you would have a small drill bit to drill down in these 2 holes here to make pilot holes for the screws. I don't have any drill bits here, believe it or not. So I'm just tapping a nail down into it to give me a pilot. That should be all I need. A little bit of compressed air would be good, but I do have the air compressor here, but I don't have an air nozzle. Now, the only thing is, did we drill through the other side? If my calculations are correct, no, we didn't. Nope, didn't. Good deal. All right. Okay, folks, I wanted to do a little bit of an outro for that video to let you know a little bit of the things that I didn't film. I didn't film the cabinets going on, or the cabinet doors going on the cabinets, and I didn't film some of my mess ups that I made. When I built the cabinet doors, for some reason, I wrote down 26.5 for the length of the cabinet doors for top and bottom. The bottom cabinet doors were only 20.5, not 26.5. So I ended up making them all 6 inches too long on the bottom. I had to cut those off and redo them, and it was a disappointing day, but we got it done. There was one the cabinets that are in that house. I think the cabinets must have been built by somebody, maybe they were homemade, I don't know. But one of the frame pieces that goes up in the middle of the cabinet was off by about this much, and that caused one of the cabinet doors to be off. And I'll put a picture in right here with a circle showing you what that looked like. And then also I had to put a piece in above the stove between the 2 cabinet doors because it didn't have one there originally. But other than that, everything went pretty well, considering I've never ever in my whole life ever built a cabinet door at all. And I will put a link in the description to the guy who I got the idea from. They're very simple to make, and they're very light but very sturdy doors. I can't complain about that at all. And they were pretty cheap when you consider I paid, I think it was $30 for the MDF, half-inch MDF, and I think it was $25 or something like that for the 2 pieces of 4x8 sheets of 5mm Luan. The most expensive part of it was the tools to do it. If you already have the tools, it's a piece of cake. We did get the Craig's ripping saw. That was immensely helpful when it comes to making the frames for those cabinet doors. The Craig's jig for drilling the holes for the hinges. I can't imagine trying to do that with a Forstner bit without it. And then the pocket hole drill that we got from Harbor Freight. You can also get them from Craig's, but they're about double the price. Was also a huge help for holding those frames together while the glue dries. As you saw in the video, a good bit of sanding had to be done in order to make them nice and flat. But it was just part of it, I guess. If it was real wood, I'm sure we wouldn't have had quite that problem, but it turned out well. My daughter seemed to be very happy with it, and that's what counts the most. So so next on the schedule is pulling the engine out of the truck and taking it apart, and I'll probably film a good bit of that so that you guys see what, if anything, was wrong. I'm sure we'll find at least the cam wrong, and I'm thinking maybe a blown head gasket. That is really all that I'm looking to be wrong with that thing. But I do want to refresh it and put it back in. And my daughter and her husband have volunteered to come over and help me get the glass back in the truck, the windshield and the back window, so that once the engine's pulled out, the truck could be moved out and I have the whole garage to be able to work on the engine. That'll be my winter project. So winter's coming up pretty quick. But so that's really all I've got, other than I want to say it's almost time to vote. Not saying who I'm supporting, and that's really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're supporting. The important thing is we all get out and vote. That's our in my opinion, that's our civic duty. And so if you're watching this from Mexico or something like that, and I do have some folks that do watch my videos that are from other countries, and I appreciate you watching. Unfortunately, you can't vote for our president, but vote for your own. Votes always count. So with that being said, again, I thank you guys for coming along for the ride, and please like and subscribe. It really makes a difference, and through you guys' help, is helping me rebuild this motor. The more views I get and the more likes I get and everything, it changes algorithms or something like that. It's some kind of magic in there, but it's actually making me a little bit of money, and then that'll help me get this truck done. And hopefully, maybe after the truck's done, we can come up with some other project to do, and share it on the YouTube channel as well. So again, thanks for coming along for the ride. Please like and subscribe. Bye.